My topic today is friendships after 70, and we can expand that age group to anywhere around that framework. And do we have friendships after 70? How's that working for you? And I'll tell you how it's working for me. But first, my name is Wayne, and welcome to my channel. I wanted to talk a little about this because it seems to be coming up for me these days. A friend of mine did post something even a couple of weeks ago on his Facebook, which got me thinking about it even more. But this topic is out there, and I think if you grew up in an area, most likely a smaller town or something, and you stayed in that area, you went to school with people there, and maybe even worked with some of them after, but it was always in that same, area, that it's easy to, and you may well have friendships that extend back from that day. I know my mother had a friend from elementary school, and they were friends, into their 80s when, my mom passed away first, and she passed away a couple of years after that. But for people who move around a little bit, like I have and stuff, those friendships seem to have gone away. And I was thinking about back when I had one of my very first jobs, not the first, but close to it. Clicked with a fellow back then, and we developed a friendship there. And even after we didn't work together anymore, the friendship did, and for some time. But I think that's unusual, really. I worked at one place for 21 years. And when I left, I left the friendships behind. And it's because, they were all workplace-based friendships. And I think we discover as we get older, there are friendships at, kind of different levels of friendships, if I can put it that way. So here we are. Here I am at 70, looking around and thinking, if I needed help, do I have a friend I can pick up the phone and call for help? And, not really, because the friends that I do have don't live close now. I have some friends that I've met through a men's group I belong to, and it's when you get together in some kind of a gathering, it's like, seeing your brother after, the day after I saw you yesterday, and it feels like that, but it's been, months, that kind of thing. It's a wonderful friendship. And yet they don't really live that close. One fellow and his wife live not too far away, an hour-ish away. And we usually try to make sure that we all get together for at least a lunch once a month. And with that kind of distance, that seems to be, kind of where it's at. So I was thinking about, someone tried to teach me something a long time ago. And obviously I didn't listen that well. And he said that if you want to have a friend, you need to be a friend first. I was thinking about that when a friend of mine posted something on his Facebook just a couple weeks ago and basically said the same thing. And he said, if you're waiting for someone to come up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, let's be friends, then you could be waiting a long time. But if you take the initiative to tap someone on the shoulder and say, let's be friends, you're going to stand a much better chance. Now, I wouldn't say it that way, but that's the point I'm making. Where are these? Where might one meet these people, I guess, is another question we need to think about. It might be necessary to get yourself out there, volunteer somewhere, or attend lectures or seminars or presentations around town that are of at least some interest to you. Doesn't have to be an obsession, but something simple. And if you do see someone or start to talk with someone and there seems to be some substance to the connection, what's really simple to do is say, hey, you know what? About every Wednesday in the afternoon around 2:30, I go down to this coffee shop and I have a latte and a snack. Would you like to join me for a quick coffee someday? That's a really easy thing to ask, and it's not a big undertaking, and it's easy to say yes to. A quick coffee someday almost says, maybe half an hour tops. My advice is to do that rather than say, hey, let's have lunch someday. Because when you do that, you're getting into, well, where do you have lunch? Well, what's the menu there? And what do I like? And what do you like? And what don't we like? And would we rather spend this much money or spend that much money? And don't get into that at this level. Just, hey, quick coffee? Sure. You meet up, sit down, and conversation rolls. Easy things to ask, like, what are your favorite restaurants in town? Do you have a favorite? Because I'm always looking to try out new places. And simple questions like that, I call them fluff questions. And they're fluff answers because through those, you get to know each other a little bit better. You get to hear some of the likes and the dislikes, and, casual conversation may come up, oh, I talked to my daughter today and she's doing this, and oh, so cool. I got 2 daughters. Do you have any kids? Yeah, I have 2 kids and everything. Oh, great. And don't go beyond that. Leave it fluffy for at least the beginning. And you get more and more comfortable. You're not going to sit down and say, hey, by the way, why don't you give me the passwords to your Facebook? No, yeah, come on. Keep it simple, keep it fluffy, and it will happen. It will work out where you start to share information back and forth and get to know each other better. And we'll open the door for, more coffee meetings and other such things. But do pay attention because, maybe there has been somebody tapping you on the shoulder, figuratively speaking. And in their conversation, giving the opportunity or the invitation and you the opportunity to say, yeah, sure, let's meet up. But you're just not tuned into it. You're not paying attention to what's being offered. So do pay attention to that, because there could be somebody already in your world, who's put something out there. So here we are at 70 and looking for ways to find a friend, or we're looking for ways to be a friend. And it's probably a lot easier to find ways to be a friend, and you keep it simple, you keep it light. Say, hey, quick coffee, and it's easy to say yes to. And if the person says, well, I'm not really a coffee drinker, and they fluff it off something, then there, without going too deep, that the interest isn't there to meet up, and that's great. Yeah, so here's the coffee shop thing too. I was in a coffee shop just today, and I noticed whilst I was waiting in line, which you seem to do at coffee shops, and on either end of the coffee shop, there was a circle of older gentlemen sharing coffee and gabbing away to each other and stuff. And I thought, how do these people find each other? Maybe just one guy starts sitting there every day at 2:00 and drinking coffee, and it builds. I don't know. I've never actually seen an ad out there that said, hey, come and join the old folk coffee club down at the coffee shop. Everybody's welcome. So I've never really seen anything like that. So I'm not really sure how they find each other, and maybe who knows, maybe they did go to school together, maybe they worked together for years and they're still in the same area. So uh, you graduate into that. I don't know. So what's worked for you? I'm just kind of wondering if somebody out there, if you've tackled this one, if you've had the experience of the better ways to approach people to enrich your connection with other people. We are a social creature, human beings, and I think we are healthier and happier if we have a little field of friends around us that we can share things with. With that in mind, I have my little spiel here about what this kind of means to me with this friendship after 70, and how it's obviously something that I need to work on more within myself. And if somebody does have any ideas about how to further that kind of thing, love to hear about them in the comments and stuff. I want to thank you for watching and for listening, and hope that you have a world that just starts to fill with friends, because you're being a friend and not waiting for someone to be your friend.